Golden wind.
Welcome back, episode 6 of Revisited. I didn't need to question mark it this time. I know it's episode 6. We're circulated back to part 5.
Hooray! Finally!
What do you mean, finally? It's only been like 5 videos. So we wanted to do Oceanus again eventually, but we also wanted to get to this dude, so we were like, let's do this dude instead. Nux Taku. I didn't know a lot about him until I started looking up videos for Revisited to try to find, what's something we want to do. And I have to say, his voice is terrible.
His voice is bad. That's not really a critique. That's just an observation.
I have an awful voice. I think my voice is atrocious. He has a terrible voice. And it's probably not even his voice. It's more that it's his cadence and the way he puts it on for his videos. I really don't enjoy it.
And I'm not a particularly big fan of his videos. I've stumbled across a couple of them, and they've always been like, So we're going into this with a little bit of bias. We're going to talk about his voice. We're going to make fun of his jokes because I know he's a very jokey person. This isn't going to be a very kind one. None of them are very kind when I think about it.
No, I think the DBZ, the series that changed everything, wasn't unkind. Put it like that.
I recently listened to it. It's like, it's a bit of a rough one sometimes. That's probably the kindest, though.
Yeah. So we're doing his Nobody Understands Fate and JoJo's.
I hate those titles. They're so bad because it will be like, nobody understands this anime or this character. Mm-hmm. It seems like a very hoity-toity attitude.
Yeah, it's like...
That's probably what he's going for. Like, oh, let me educate you But I don't like that.
Yeah, it's like, y'all don't understand. I understand.
Yeah, so let me explain it to you.
But what if you're wrong?
Exactly. And it's not one particular thing. Nothing's... You can't... It's not objectively this anime is good or this character is the best or... You don't understand his mindset because this, and this. It's
why people are wrong about sleeping slaves.
Yeah.
No, people, their opinion is correct. If they're going, sleeping slaves wasn't good because
nobody's eyes were open to fate.
Yeah, that's like, what can you do with that? But if you don't like it, you don't like it. And there's nothing to, like, when it comes to Fate in the anime, I've said this before. Fate, as far as Fate goes, your Fate is only, it's only bound by the rules of the series that it's in. You can't just go to the dictionary for Fate and go, these are the rules of Fate. It has to stick by, and the rules in JoJo's are, it exists. Because there are many times Zeppeli getting his fortune told by the fortune teller, Boingo's book, Kira's reset day, certain things always happen. The gang dying because of sleeping slaves, seeing that they're going to die on this adventure. Fate exists in JoJo. And the only other rule is it is unchangeable. Zeppeli died as he was supposed to. Boingo's book always comes true. The things that Hayato tried to change in the reset day, some things still happen, like the cup breaking. Even if it's just sitting there.
Zeppeli will always sacrifice themselves for a JoJo.
And the gang fated to die died. Those are the only 2 rules we have that we can point to with multiple examples and go, these are the rules. Anything else is just people making assumptions.
Yeah, you can't go, this is fate, because... It's just a story, the way it's written. If it's Giorno's fate to die, okay, that's fine. But then you could just change the story and just go, it's Giorno's fate to live. So there's no evidence either way unless you can just warp whatever you're seeing into that. Yeah. So it's nothing.
So, let's just get into it, I guess.
Your fate has already been decided. Telling you right now, after having seen the end of the script, it is one of my best videos to date. And I am
Oh, see, so he's coming into this going, this a good video, y'all.
That's not great.
So, Let's see, because now he's opening himself up to scrutiny. Because if this is his best video, boy, what's his worst video?
And on top of that, when you write it out, you can look at something and go, wow, this was really great. But until all the pieces come together, you can't go, this is my best video to date. All you've done is wrote a script so far, and it could be like, well, actually, like while you're doing it,
you can change some things, and then now recontextualize some things. Then you got to go back and rechange stuff, like the GG thing. He goes, freaking Baby had no influence on the story, no motivation, and then immediately later he goes, Baby is the only one with motivation. So even if it's that was the best script, he changed something, and it changed everything.
So you gotta give yourself some time to breathe, my guy.
Overly excited to share to you my passion for this franchise. You will be leaving a like on this video, preferably now, but potentially when you finish, because today, an OP analysis of Giorno Giovanna, as well.
I never liked videos going, as soon as the video opens, give the video a like. You're like, you haven't done anything yet
to warrant my like.
You're just talking to me right now. So it's like, give the video a like, subscribe. I'm like, I don't know you. Make me.
What I've disliked is people that go, give me a like, subscribe, blah blah blah, now let's get into it. And then at the end of the video they repeat it. Like, you're just beating it over the head. Don't worry about the content of my video. Just like it, comment, and subscribe to me.
Because I asked you to.
So go do. So do.
Diavolo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Freaking Wind. Golden Wind. How to not overpower fate.
Oh, Jesus.
It's fine.
So, when we looked at Oceanus, when we looked at Super Eye Patchwork, when we looked at Ohada, and when we looked at Team 4-Star, everything in the video is just like, no. Like, our ire got up and stuff, but it was mostly just like, oh, this is your video, whatever. I already dislike this video. Like, I really don't like this style he's going for.
Yeah, it's kind of like a get to the point. I understand you're going for the comedy thing. It's not for everybody, but kind of get to the point.
It's not for me. I don't. What is this? Is this a video essay like usual? But this is going on a little too long.
Yeah.
And it's only been going on for like 14 seconds, but it's a little too long.
Damn! Can you not tell I'm too excited for this video? I'm gonna be first to tell you every time that every part of JoJo is brilliant in its own way. Each one is crafted from an entirely different standpoint, so even though I love the entire vibe of JoJo's that carries out throughout every part, every individual part brings something entirely new to the table. Whether it's the society of...
Why do you need to be told this? It's quite obvious. Even going from part 1 to part 2, Jonathan and Joseph look almost exactly alike, but their personalities couldn't be any different. How they use their abilities couldn't be any different. You don't need to be told these. Even looking at the characters, no two are exactly alike. No two settings are exactly alike. You don't need to be told this. Anybody with a passing interest in JoJo going from part 1 to part 7, just go, I'm gonna read part 1, I'm gonna read part 7. Completely different. Pick any 2 parts, pick any 3 parts, pick any parts, and there's no one-to-one comparison.
This is also a small thing. He messed up on some editing with his character moving. It looped, and you could see a point where the loop looped, if that makes any sense. But yeah, there was some minor editing stuff there that he messed up on.
Morio in part 4, or the adventure of part 3, there is something to love everywhere. JoJo's part 5.
Why couldn't you get these subtitles out? Dude, what are we doing?
You know what? It's like they're watching it in a movie theater.
No,
so
because the beginning of the video has subtitles. Get these out of here. And they dub. Get these out of here.
For me, had far more thematic relevance than any other part up till this point. I suppose.
Sound the alarm. We need a theme bell.
Dude, can we do? I mean, seriously. Do we always have to point directly to themes?
You know what? Oh, almost. We were almost there. I was about to say every other video has been a theme
Except
video.
for Teams 4-Star, where they were just talking. But...
No. Because the Super Eye Patch Wolf wasn't. Neither one was theme. But if this video had went in front of the Team 4-Star one, it would have been theme, no theme, no theme.
They were very theme heavy though.
What?
It was a very theme heavy though. It wasn't about the theme.
Yeah.
But it was a very
the progress
It
and
was like, hey, yo, themes is big in there though.
What was he doing? Dragon Ball is just a fight
I'm
show.
so sick of hearing about themes. I'm legit sick of it.
To part 4, which I loved from a psychological standpoint, I love part 5 from a philosophical one. Strange as that sounds, you have these garishly dressed muscular dudes beating the crap out of each other with the single most entertaining power system of all time. And I'm going to be talking about the philosophy of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and why that makes Giorno as well as Diavolo 2 of the greatest characters Shonen has ever manufactured.
Ooh, that is a statement.
Yes, it is. And you're going to have to prove this in your greatest video ever.
We're talking...
Greatest script ever.
Shonen just celebrated its 50th anniversary, I think, like 4 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, somewhere around there. So we're talking 50-ish years of Shonen. And you're going, these two are two of the greatest.
Dia had a combined maybe 30 chapters in which he was in. I understand that its influence could be felt all around it, but that's not really, we don't really see him like mandating rules and laws and sell these drugs. It's just like, this is the status quo. He said it, and we just have to accept that. Did he say it? We've never seen.
How was the gang established? I was thinking that.
And when Bruno was like, "Here are all the levels of the gang. You got the number 1. You got the number 2." We never saw the number 2. So we don't know who his right hand man is or who's directly under him. And then we've got 4 more. We saw like 12 gangsters. We don't know how this system works.
And like 6 of them had defected from the gang. So
we don't know exactly anything about Dia except for he's in charge. We don't know how he gives out orders. We just know that nobody really knows him.
We don't know how he came up. We don't even know if he started the gang or he was just...
Or he took it from somebody.
Like he was Geo. Like he just took it from somebody. We don't understand even the gang system of how it was created and stuff. So when you're talking about this philosophical stuff, we don't even know the starting point of the gang.
2 characters that can potentially overpower fate.
Okay, the subtitles on the left, we're still doing this movie theater stuff.
No.
And overpower fate? What are you talking about?
In what way? What are you...
Fate is literally, this is going to happen no matter what. If it happens differently than foretold, then it wasn't fate. Because you can't change fate. It's an oxymoron.
Itself. So now this is going to be a very interesting video. Like every OP in JoJo's, as well as every season, we're going to have some really fun timey-wimey shiz going on. I'm going to explain the thematic.
Not all of JoJo's had timey-wimey stuff.
Not part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, no, neither one of those had timey-wimey stuff. So what are you talking about?
Part 8 doesn't.
Good to know. I really like part 7 so far.
I don't know the villain, so I don't know what he does.
Not yet.
How far in part 7, really quickly?
Dang, what was the last thing I read?
Because you got to the Sugar Mountain.
Sugar Mountain was really, really good.
I loved it. Him getting absorbed into the tree and it's like, yep, another one gone. Well, I'll be able to be free, and one day my mom... And then it just cuts back to them and just like, take them in parts. I know you're not just going to shoot me once I walk away. Just take them.
Had to give them up for this.
And then they're just sitting there so like, we got to use this wine. Let's toast. Amazing.
The last
Sugar Mountain.
The last fight I saw was them fighting Wakapio, Wake Up People. Yeah, that one.
Okay, yeah.
fun timey-wimey shiz going on. I'm going to explain the thematic relevance to Giorno's character, as well as to Diavolo's character, and then they're going to be doing it again with an entirely alternate interpretation.
I'm going to be explaining the thematic relevance of these characters. Again, Usopp is a good character outside of themes. I don't need to go thematic relevance to make him a good character, to talk about the fact that he's a good character.
You're shoehorning in things to make these characters good for you. What if they're just crap characters? What if they're just crap characters that you're molding something into to make them seem better than they actually are? On paper, Diavolo sucks. He simply sucks. Take away that fake crap that y'all just shoehorning into things because you can mold that into anything that you want. And he is a crap character. King Crimson is the only reason he's any good. Without a fantastical power, he would be nothing.
Absolutely nothing. But then you look at part 7, and you look at Ringo Road again. Fantastic time stand. Fantastic character. So he doesn't need his stand to be fantastic, even though it's overpowered. And even without that, he's a good character. But King Crimson makes Diavolo, because we see King Crimson so much more than we see Diavolo. And then when we finally do see Diavolo, he's there for a chapter or two, and then he's Bruno. There's no... Since King Crimson speaks through Diavolo speaks through King Crimson, it's just like, okay, these are the actions of King Crimson up until the point he gets his body back. 5 chapters later, he's dead forever.
Is going on. I'm going to explain the thematic relevance to Giorno's character, as well as to Diavolo's character, and then they're going to be doing it again with an entirely alternate interpretation thanks to the final arc Sleeping Slaves. Because, funnily enough, whenever you have this grand finale to any story ever...
Dude! This Adult Swim logo? Are you serious?
It's fine.
Subtitles in Adult Swim logo?
This is his greatest video ever.
I can give you the clips.
You know how many subs he got?
Bruh, look at this.
Almost a mil. And he pulling this out.
What are you doing? This is your greatest video yet? And you can't get the subtitles out of them?
And I believe that it's totally fair to criticize him on this, because this is something that can be changed. You can look at any more popular anime YouTuber or anybody talking about anything. They take away these things because they detract from the video.
When he's talking and you have to look down at words that are different than the words that he's saying, it's throwing you off.
This is a totally legitimate criticism, commenter. Put down them fingers.
Bruh, they've already disliked and left.
It's gonna be the big badass final battle where the good guy beats the bad guy and everyone lives happily ever after. That is not the final arc of JoJo's Part 5.
Not the final of JoJo Part 1 either. He didn't live happily ever after. Arena didn't live happily ever after. It's not a hard law. Part 6 especially wasn't big battle, everyone lives happily ever after.
No, they basically got murdered and then they reset everything.
So it's not a hard and fast rule.
Arc is a flashback to before the story began and before Giorno is even introduced to the gang. So I'm going to talk about why the series is thematically brilliant without that arc. And then I'm going to talk about how that arc changes the entire story from point 1.
So if it's thematically brilliant before that part and then it changes everything, doesn't that make it thematically stupid?
I don't see how it's brilliant and then everything is changed and then it's even more brilliant. Couldn't you just say that it improved it or recontextualized it? You don't need to say it changed it, because
it furthered it. Anything
that creates a connotation of something is different. But no, the whole thing was fate, and then Sleeping Slaves just went, yeah, fate, exactly. And no, but they were.
I can't put Fate
again before he even gets to it. Why were those three fated to die? Why exactly those three?
I'm also gonna, when he starts talking about sleeping slaves heavily, I'm gonna play into why that is complete bullshit.
Thing you thought was genius until there barely scratched the surface of what this season has to offer.
So, hold on, they scratched the surface, and then Sleeping Slaves, that 2 chapter piece of makes it deeper than, what are we
4 or 5 chapters.
Bro, I don't give a what are we talking about? Are you telling me that makes it so much deeper? Cause a rock was gonna kill them and then it killed more people? Cause Fate?
And then they just turn their channel to the camera and just go, ah yes, Fate truly is unchangeable. But maybe they can.
No. They didn't. Everyone died.
Everyone died as fated. But we gotta listen to his argument.
We're 20 minutes in and 2 minutes into his video.
That's a good ratio.
It's not. This might actually be our worst ratio to date.
Nah, it's fine.
Warning for you. So now let's talk about fate. Fate in anime is fascinating. In fact, whenever fate as a topic is tackled in any medium, I'm immediately drawn in because it's some metaphysical reality that there is no way to prove if it actually exists or if it doesn't. That said, fate it's...
So, why don't we talk about Christianity or the God parallels in JoJo? Because there's no way to prove that exists or not. Why aren't we talking about that?
Because fate is sexier.
It just is. Mm-hmm. There isn't an alternate universe where Giorno dies. It's a story put in front of us. No matter what happens, it's fated to happen. Luffy is fated to beat Croc because it happened.
Yeah, he was fated to beat Croc.
Because it happened. We don't know anything else other than this happening.
Fate is set in stone. If something changes, that was not fate.
That's not fate. Whatever happens in the end point is fate. So it doesn't... What's the point of talking about it? It's just the end point of a story. And everything leading up to it could be shown as foreshadowing or context to it. It's fate, like you just said, is nothing.
Self rears his head in so many different ways in different media, whether it's overcoming fate or whether there is no way to change your fate. They're two very interesting glances at the world and entirely different perspectives of how we inhabit this world.
If it's fate, it can't be changed.
It can't.
So that one on the right, Judai, he was supposed to.
That's all.
That's all it was. That's all fate is. There's no overcoming it. Unless fate becomes a literal physical thing, you can't overcome it. Cause like you said, it's a nebulous metaphysical thing.
And even looking at King Crimson, you could say King Crimson is overcoming fate. How do you know his fate wasn't to overcome that version of fate and then leap into a new version of fate, which becomes fate? How do you know the fate of people isn't to overcome fate? It's all about the end point, and it doesn't matter. Whatever happens was fated to happen. Whether you overcome it a little bit or a lot.
Inhabit this world. Now, until this point, my favorite example of this was Berserk. Berserk is my second favorite manga of all time, and the
Devilmon or whatever from Digimon. I thought
my oldest mod.
I thought the same.
Like, where you going? Wait a second.
Oh, okay, we gonna get into some Digi.
Finally, I've been waiting for Digimon on this show.
Oh, Berserk.
Manga of all time, and the theme of fate runs rampant. I'm not gonna have any spoilers to that here because, why the hell would I do that? Also, I don't want to spoil an OP analysis on Guts that may or may not be happening soon. But the theme of fate...
I might need to read Berserk.
I poked my head in. It's pretty good.
Because I kind of want to hear what people have to say about fate as far as Berserk goes.
You know what? I don't really hear too much about fate.
Then what is Berserk. He talking about?
He's a fate monster. So That's what he's looking for.
Theme
He already said.
monster.
He already said when fate is in a story, it makes it so much better for him. So he's just going, okay, where's fate in this? Oh, fate's in it. Now it's even better. Now it's one of my favorites of all time. You're looking for it, and when you, I always say, when you're looking for trouble, you're gonna find it,
Bruh, I didn't
no matter what.
Shonen is my, One Piece is my favorite shonen of all time. I had never looked for anything in One Piece.
No.
When Oda makes Revelation and then people go, yo, Oda put this in like 300 chapters ago, I'm like, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
But I don't look and go, hold on. Is fate a theme here? No, I just read the words and I think, wow, this is really good what's presented to me. If I can look at something and go, wow, that's really good what was presented to me, and then do a deeper dive, I am 100% for that. If part 5 was really good and then people go, but there's this underlying thing, I'd go, wow, that's really, really good. But it's only good because of the theme y'all put into it.
But then once y'all take away the theme of fate and all that, you got Babyface, and it's just, where's the theme in that? Where's the fate in that? Oh, there's none? So it's pretty bad.
When you're looking
it's
at it,
not a good fight. If you're looking for it in terms of theme and fate and resolve and all that, it's just not a very good fight because there's not a whole lot of that in that. Unless you're just going, Giorno was fated to win. Done.
Of fate
He was
is very
fated to
present
grow.
in Berserk, and Guts, a mere human, struggles against fate and overpowers it to certain extents. However, as much as I love Berserk, and as much as I always will love Berserk, JoJo's Part 5 actually beat it in the fate department. The way they tackled the theme of fate in Golden Wind has truly been a golden experience. So, being that this is technically an overpowered analysis of both...
Miss my pause.
He's not talking about how the story was done well, how the fights were done well. He's just going, it overpowered it in the fate department, not the story. So are we just going, if something, Berserk is your favorite of all time, but then you got this other thing that's super, super fate, but it's a bad story. Does that make it good for you? It does the fact that it has fate in it automatically equal sign good? Cause is that a way to analytically critique something? Because you could just go,
what are we doing?
Pacific Rim has a lot of robots in it. I like robots, so this is better than Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane has zero robots.
So I'm looking at it for what I'm looking for and what I like.
When you look at the first Godzilla movie, the first new Godzilla movie, and go, wow, I love giant monsters. This had 3. Then you look at King of the Monsters. Wow, this has 7. It must be better. It overpowered it in the big monster department.
I'm looking for big monsters.
Except it sucked.
I'm looking for big monsters. This had more big monsters. Better.
Except everyone agrees it's not as good. So what are we doing?
So, being that this is technically an overpowered analysis of both Giorno, the protagonist, as well as Diavolo, the villain...
You shouldn't have zoomed in. There's clear spots where you missed that mask.
And again, why do you have a fan artist rendering and then an official Diavolo?
Hashtag PNG.
That makes no... But it's not! Because he's missed some masks.
As well as Diavolo, the villain,
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
They're completely different art styles.
Completely.
I understand. Hey, commenter, chill out, commenter. I can see
they're gone.
I can see the Berserk brand. So he's going, Fate brand in Berserk is on Giorno, so Fate even more. Yeah, I understand. I see it. Don't chill out.
Okay. Was that newly scratched into Giorno? Because why would the blood be on top of his shirt?
Yeah, that seems like a very lazy thing that he did.
mostly on them, not the entire journey throughout, but I will be talking.
He also messed up on the arrow. It's not clean. It's like jagged on the edges.
These are perfectly valid criticisms.
Bruh, give up.
He's presenting. No, I'm just saying he's presenting his editing, so he's opening up to scrutiny. If you can praise his editing, I can critique it.
Why the theme of fate is present from the very beginning, and why it takes us to the very end. Giorno's character getting introduced to Bucciarati's group was almost a literal godsend. Until that took place, Bruno was not a fan of the structure of Passion, the gang that he was a part of, and was plotting to take it down for the longest time. He just never had an opportunity or the ability to do so. The boss is so
sure, but this dude going, "You can do it," somehow changed his mindset?
No. He said he always thought about doing it, but he never had an opportunity to do it. He sees an opportunity in Giorno. But that contradicts Oceanus' video where he goes, Bruno just sat there and took it until Giorno gave him the resolve to fix it. So which one is the right one?
That's the problem with analysis like this. People see things differently.
You know why? I believe that's a crutch of mine. I keep saying, you know why? I think Nux is taking the story as it is, but Oceanus loves Giorno, so he went. Giorno gave it to Bruno.
Yeah, he's looking at for because he goes. Nacho has not been given the resolve by Gio yet. So he's just going, yep, there was Bruno's resolve moment from Gio. There's his. So he just sort of made it into it. So are we saying that Nux is
more importantly, he never got an inspirational moment from Gio. These were words said by that man.
So we're just saying that Nux is correct in this Nux versus Ocean.
I don't know if he's correct. I think he's less biased towards Gio.
He's less wrong.
He's less wrong. To the point he may be correct.
Mystery, the only way to maybe event.
Double subtitles, my guy! Are you serious?
Yeah, that's not fine.
What the fuck? Double subtitles, my dude! What are we doing?
Eventually have the potential to get to him is to just slowly rise in the ranks, and that's what he's been doing. Him with his entire group of...
As opposed to Gio, who joined the gang and a week later is the boss. Bruno is the actual JoJo.
He works hard as opposed to just scamming people in the taxis and then just bumbling his way into being a gang star.
Fits lovable and
why wasn't Gang Star part of part 5? Dude, why wasn't one of the stands Gang Star?
Fits lovable as they are, haven't made headway in this regard for quite some time. It was
the gang didn't know anything about what Bruno wanted. So, of course, they're not making headway. They're just following Bruno's order.
Absolutely. None of them are going to go, let's overthrow the boss, because they have no reason to. They were all taken from their crappy life and put into a pretty good one. Why would they just go, yeah, we want more now for some reason? We've never been shown that Anchi caring about kids being given drugs or any of this killing or exploitation thing. We've seen Bruno caring, but they're just like, yep, this is our job, so let's do our job.
It was only once Giorno was thrown into their ranks that things started moving at a breakneck pace.
Breakneck.
Dude, wrap it up. Let's go. Plot's kicking in. Let's go.
It's like Frankie getting added to their crew, and then all of a sudden, well, they're just now in the new world. Like, he was the key to getting into the new world. Kinda he was with the ship, but there was still a whole bunch before that because they clearly just weren't strong enough. But they just went, Giorno, week later, everything changes.
Giorno, week later, goal accomplished.
And they started on this massive adventure that brings them to where they are at the finale, with literally no stopping in between.
Manga, anime. That's all.
Looking at it too.
That is just a PNG.
Dude, it's the same one Oceanus used. It's the exact same one.
Why are you not paying attention to this? It's jarring. They are not the same art styles nor medium. This is a valid critique.
There's just gonna be a valid critique counter.
No stopping in between. One thing I love about the stand power system in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, even though no one talks about this, people just talk about how, you know, it has the best fights in anime, which, well, it's true, not gonna lie, but also, as far as character...
It also has some of the worst.
Yeah.
So
because
what are
sometimes
we
you gotta
here?
bush your way into going, this person perfectly counteracts this person, so how are we gonna beat them with a perfect counter? And sometimes it seems very manufactured that this fight was supposed to happen.
How often is the protagonist given the power that's able to counter the antagonist? It happened in One Piece. And that fight keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. It was literally a perfect counter. Rarely in JoJo do you have that. Because if you did, I feel like you wouldn't get a lot of the villain trying to overcome it.
I can only think of one, and that's my girl Jolene, where she had the string and the Mobius strip. But then she had to make it. And also, there was also the fact of there's a bunch of people and the world still in danger because of this guy. So it wasn't just the fact that they're fighting each other. It was the fact of everybody around them can be turned inside out as well as the world being turned around. So that's about the only one that I could think of outside of Kira and Josuke reconstruction and destruction.
I wouldn't even say that because if it would have hit Josuke, he would have been through.
Plus, he needs to actually be able to get to them because if he was like a foot away from Hayato, he'd be just dust.
Character development wise, a large complaint to the JoJo series is that the characters very often are relatively stagnant. There isn't large amounts of character development, but there is...
I don't see that.
I don't either. You look at Koichi, Josuke, like just part 4 alone. Rohan.
Yes.
All the JoJo people, all their group basically develops in that part. I don't understand that criticism.
Yeah, I personally never really heard it. If you're looking at like part 3, you look at Jotaro, yeah, he's fairly stagnant. Somebody like Abdul is a known not good character. But
then we also had development in that one where it's like, I'm going to go fight alone. And it's like, no, I need this group. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, and you got Ponaraf who's there. I don't see it. Because in any story, you have people who are stagnant and you have people who grow and change and develop.
Yeah.
Unless they're just talking about the stands, in which case, yeah, Silver Chariot was Silver Chariot from part 1, from his first appearance to the very end.
But that's part of the fun of JoJo's is that this is all you can do.
For the most part, people just don't get new powers. Geo, they're very stagnant. Silver Cherry, he's like, I'm fast. I can break away my armor. This was shown in like my 2nd chapter. And what did he have later? He can shoot his sword. That's about it.
So he has to defeat every villain that comes to him with just that stuff.
So you know that once a villain comes up, what can Polnareff do against Cool Ice? Well, he has these powers. Boom, boom, boom. And we know what Cool Ice can do. So we can, in our mind, as we're going from chapter to chapter, episode to episode, go, how can he beat him? Well, he can do this, he can do this. Maybe this can happen.
Oh, I ricocheted this off the wall, and okay, yeah, he can shoot his sword.
As opposed to Geo being able to turn any non-living thing into any living thing, even from a distance. And he also has the power to punch somebody and make them slow down. And he also has the power to sense living life in things. And he also has other powers that are just like once in the air dropped.
there is large amount of character exploration. Everyone's stand is their subconscious taking an ethereal form to fight for them. And I can use literally any character from any arc of JoJo's as an example of this. Abakio's moody blues allows him to turn back time because he made a dreadful error that led to one of his friends' deaths in the past. Mista's pistols are always bickering with each other, flying around, veering bullets everywhere, haphazardly, arguing with each other while fighting opponents, not paying much attention to anything but their simple existence, just like Mista is stated again and again to just be a simple fellow.
That was a stretch. Can I get a pause?
Yeah, I was trying to see where he was trying to tie that into Mista.
That was a big stretch.
No.
Okay. Magician's Red, Big Fire Chicken. Abdul is not a hothead. He's a fortune teller.
He's not a chicken breeder.
What is... You know, he is a chicken breeder.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, you remember when he was dead and he disguised himself as his dad?
Oh,
and
yeah.
He had a couple chickens. So is that his soul? A chicken breeder?
This is what I am. Peacock.
So with one character, I just broke that down. Unless you want to go 15 paragraphs into trying to make it work.
I don't think Jotaro is necessarily strong or fast, but instead is just big, strong, big, fast.
Somebody like Okuyasu, that makes a lot more sense. He's very impulsive. He's got this one thing and he's like, I don't need to improve. I got this one thing. He's dumb. So that's why if you look at the hand's face, he's got like horse blinders because he can only look ahead of him. That's great. But then you got Yukako, who has nice hair, so her hair is her stand. How does that fit into her soul?
Even going into just part 5, what does Naranjas have to do with what he is? What does Fugos have to do with what he is?
His anger, his self-hatred turns into an uncontrollable state. He's going to talk about it. I will put $5 on the line that he's going to mention Fugo in the next freaking 30 seconds. But
okay, what does Bruno's do? What's that got to do with him?
Separate and put back together as he's putting the gang back together. And I'm doing him. Kiss. What does Kiss have to do with Hermes' soul? What is Stone Free?
I was literally just going part 5. What does Soft Machine have to do with his? Putting holes in people's face so they flatten out because he's a flat character? I don't know.
Grateful Dead. What's there? Beach Boys, I can understand. He's like, okay, I'm a bit of a coward. I'm gonna stand back and fight, but yeah. Grateful Dead is horrible in the winter. He's just like, yep, I'm taking 3 months off. I can't make anybody old.
White Album?
What?
I'm not getting this.
To just be a simple fellow, and that made him the best character in the entire part, but that's irrelevant. And Fugo's stand,
Fugo,
is this absolutely disgusting creature that's covered in vials that when shattered, poisonous gas shiz comes out and literally melts everyone around him, making it ridiculously overpowered. Just like Fugo, on the outside is a genius, but has a ridiculous temper on the inside due to a relatively difficult childhood, which causes him to hate his inner self, just like he hates the disgustingness of his stand, a representation of his inner self.
But his stand on the outside isn't beautiful.
It's not. It's like you said, it's a monster. He's drooling. He's got these bared fangs. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
And does Fugo think he's disgusting?
I don't know. We don't know too much about Fugo. We got Man in the Mirror, and then he pieces out. Unless he's talking about Purple Haze Feedback, which I'm not reading that.
And it seems like a lot of people in that group just have anger issues. If not all characters have anger issues. Narancia has anger issues out the wazoo. And I like how you mentioned the people that could potentially fit into this, even though you were already stretching with Mista, but you don't mention Narancia.
Don't.
Why not? You have one person in Bruno's gang left that's not Bruno or Gio, but you don't mention them because it doesn't make sense with your whole representation of who they are thing.
The easy one. What's 6 times 3?
Hamburger.
Where are the subtitles? Why didn't
Bro,
you make your
actually-
own? Why didn't you make your own subtitle? Why didn't you have the show subtitles?
When you actually need it, it don't show. Probably because he took this video from somebody else and was like, can I use this? And that didn't have subtitles. And he's not, I'm not putting subtitles in. I'm not even masking this right. Who cares?
So let's just have 10 seconds of a guy speaking Japanese. We don't know what he's saying.
Composed on the outside, but a complete savage on the inside that Fugo himself cannot control. I say all of this because
Friggin' Purple Haze is not composed on the outside. He's a drooling maniac monster.
I don't get it.
I don't get it. Even you take this part out of the video, out of your best script ever, because it doesn't make any sense literally.
Golden Experience has the fate-defying powers of bringing things to life. When he encounters Bruno,
How does that defy fate? Because it's not like it makes them like that forever. They turn back. You're fated to be a rock, so you're going to be a rock again.
See, he just brought that and just went, yep, there it is. Fate defying. We know this, so no need to. What was up with that shot? This shot seems very overexposed. The next shot with Bruno and
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, so
perfectly valid criticism.
for anybody that's looking, look at this shot, and then when we hit play, I'm going to pause again. And it looks really like contrasted.
Yeah.
bringing things to life. When he encounters Bruno, and
Yeah. It looks more like this was a bad Raw that the whoever did the subtitles for did the subtitles on this video, and the Raw was just bad. Because this doesn't look good.
Bruno lets him in to his gang. He kills Pulpo, meaning Bruno now has
So
to
dumb.
protect the treasure.
Now I need to shoot myself. Here we go. Oh, it's turning into a banana, into a gun before my eyes. Let me squeeze the trigger. Ah, yes, my delicious banana. Let me put it in my mouth. Yep, there's the banana click sound, as we all know. Oh, it's a gun. Squeeze. How did his finger perfectly get...
Bruh.
It's the dumbest.
Your finger would have to contort, because he peels it back, which means that's him cocking it. So his finger would have to be holding it in a way to where it perfectly formed around him, to where the thumb is on the trigger already. And it has to be already compressed or about to be compressed. Like, I don't...
It's just so bad.
Recognized by the boss, become a capo, have the mission to bring the daughter to the boss, and it ends up actually defeating the boss in the end of the day. It's Giorno's integration that allows them to seemingly surpass what their fate has decided for them, just like one thing that no...
What was their fate?
Yo,
If that was what allowed them to surpass the fate that was seemingly laid out for them, what was that fate? That they were just going to be stuck there forever? Because the second Popo dies, however he dies, this mission keeps rolling, Gio or not. Popo's dead, so now we can do this. Oh, we got the money, now we can get the mission for the boss. So what was their fate before Giorno got there? What did Gio change in their fate except expediting Popo's death?
Giorno's integration that allows them to seemingly surpass what their fate has...
And if Gio was part of the group and they didn't kill Popo, Bruno could find another way to become a capo.
He was already rising in ranks. Popo trusted him enough to give him his fortune.
So eventually, it still happens. So what did Gio change? Except expediting the process.
for them. Just like one thing that no one on Earth can understand, the power of actual life itself, is in Giorno's fingertips. There are only two things that are unavoidable.
Pause. People do understand life. There's been clones.
Yeah.
They've cloned sheep and things like that.
We understand DNA.
At least they have a base understanding, so you can't say no one on Earth understands it.
You can you can graft things on people. They understand that a kidney could be rejected by the body. Like, we understand properties of the body and life.
We don't understand everything about it.
Oh,
but
absolutely not.
You can't just say nobody understands it.
We understand how to create life through creating babies and stuff. We understand how that works. We understand every creature in the world right now. We understand how they make their babies.
And do we necessarily know that Geo understands how life is made, or is he just like, I'm just gonna make a tree? Momo in My Hero, she has to study all these things before she understands. She has to understand how it's made, the properties, all of that. We don't get that from Geo. We just get, oh, I can just put my throat back in. Here's my eye. Do we know that he understands the cornea, the retina, the iris?
So here's something else. Why do some things return to user?
I wondered that as well.
Because
I was talking to Chris about it with Babyface and the snake.
Mm-hmm. Why would the tree keep growing and not return to user? Why wouldn't the banana return to the ground? Does it have to be an actual, like, moving, living thing? If that's the case,
because when Geo turned Kyoichi's suitcase into a frog,
it came back to him. So why did that happen?
When it should go back to Koichi or a cow that made the leather that made the suitcase.
Why wouldn't the beetle go back to the gun?
Man, it's just whatever with his powers.
In this world. The first is death, and Giorno manages to actually surpass that by bringing Bruno back to life for a hefty amount of time. And the second is...
That's not surpassing it, because he was a literal zombie. When he was brought back, he got a cut in his arm as the boat thing was happening, and he didn't bleed, so he was not brought back to life.
He was a walking corpse.
So how did he surpass it? You know who surpassed it, kind of, even more than that, would be Jotaro when he reached into Joseph's heart and started pumping it. As he was dead, pronounced dead by by EMT. So this dude just going, I imbue you with life, and having him corpse around for 2 days, that's not surpassing death. Because he's losing his feeling. He's getting colder. At one point, he just goes, well, I just can't see anymore.
Eventually, he would just drop dead.
So that's not surpassing it.
Taxes, and as we know in the Rolling Stones arc, when the florist guy says to Bruno if Bruno could take his job, Bruno asks him if he could pay taxes. Wow, the thematic genius is literally everywhere. And now let's contrast Giorno's ability for a moment with the bosses. Diavolo's stand King Crimson is ridiculously strong.
Is every analysis YouTuber just the same? Whereas this character... Is every analysis YouTuber just the same? The one thing I will give Nux is that he puts inflection and excitement behind his words as opposed to this detached, analytical, quote-unquote way of speaking.
So I can see that's why he's pretty popular.
It gave JoJo's the reputation of the it just works philosophy for some abilities.
Fine, I admit it!
Yes.
I don't know how King Crimson works! He erases time, but what does that mean? If you erase time, then shouldn't it not be there?
But it's not that it just works, it's far more than that. He could take about a 10-second period of time, and within that time frame, anything that would have happened actually does happen. So for example,
So he's not erasing fate.
Exactly.
The fate still plays out. So why is he punished, Oceanus?
And even if we take what you said as true, anything that is fated to happen happens, but he moves. So was he fated to be punched or was he fated to not be punched?
if I'm walking down the stairs, you will skip 10 seconds into the future and I will find myself at the bottom of the stairs. I will have no recollection of that time, only that it happened the way fate decided for it to happen. The only one that can change
100%.
their fate within those 10 seconds is Diavolo himself. Within those 10 seconds, if someone is fated to die, they will die. Except for Diavolo, because within those 10 seconds...
This is why I call him Dia. People pronounce his name like 8 different ways. Diavolo, Diavolo, Diavolo.
Yeah.
Like, Dia. That's just a personal thing.
He is fully conscious, and he can avoid it. Because, of course, he has another ability, precognition, that can let him see the future by 10 seconds. Yeah, he's like all sorts of broken. How are they going to beat this guy that is...
That's not all of his abilities, sir. What about when he's made Bruno see himself, sir?
No. That never happens again, so let's just get that out of here.
That was the first ability of his that we see.
Bruh, do you know how much fun King Crimson would have been if you could see yourself in the past? So he stands where he knows they were. The person punches and then he erases the time. Or they're just standing still and all of a sudden they get punched and then 10 seconds in the future they did that punch and they go, that's how that happened? As opposed to just, I'm gonna counter everything you could potentially do because I stabbed myself with an arrow.
How are they going to beat this guy that is literally a master of fate? His stand ability keeps everyone's fate in check, where whatever he divines to...
No, because their fate still happens, as you said, only his changes. He's not changing their fate.
Because he can't interact with them in the skip time.
Narancia.
happen in the future to anyone else will happen to them without fail. However, he can tweak whatever fate decided for himself. It's a gruesomely terrifying ability, and it perfectly intertwines with the main theme of this series being fate. Giorno is the one who's going to change the fate of everyone in Bruno's gang going against...
No, because they're still dead over there.
Yeah. He didn't change the fate of Narancia.
He did. Where's Bruno? Oh, in the heavens.
He didn't change the fate of Narancia because Rolling Stones fated for him to die.
Everybody that was supposed to die. Abakio? Oh.
They did. He just wouldn't have died to the boss. He would have probably got hit by a car or something. But he was fated to die, so how did Gio change Narancia's fate?
A boss who has the power to freely manipulate his own fate. This is why the final battle between Giorno and Diavolo is so amazing, and this is why when Giorno actually awakens his Requiem stand, it is so beautiful, because it further highlights his purpose in the arc, especially.
Pause. He's just a hard counter. What would have been different if somebody else didn't get the arrow? If somebody else didn't get the Requiem? Because it said that, and this was never said in the story, but it said that the arrow gives you exactly what you need in that moment. So if you need a way to beat him, you're gonna get a way to beat him. What does him resetting to 0 have to do with life? Giorno's ability. Almost nothing. So he's just given this ability that has nothing to do with it. Can it not be said that when the arrow was flying through the air and they were just like Mista grabbed it, if Mista grabbed it and stabbed himself, he would have gotten a similar ability or an ability that perfectly counters King Crimson and beats him. But it had to be Gio because of fate and all this bush.
And also, I keep going back to Oceanus. He said that fate rewarded them with the means to overcome Dia. But as far as we know, a stand arrow has never rejected a stand user. there's only 2 instances, and that's Kira and, 3 instances. Kira, Silver Chariot, and Diavolo. I mean, not Diavolo, but Gio. So, all 3 of them, it just happened. Nothing was rejected. They weren't rejected. Their Saiyans didn't go berserk as far, unless, with Silver Chariot, because he died. But it wasn't like, everything they just worked. Yeah. It just works. It just works.
So, again, if you would have gotten stabbed, you would have gotten exactly what you needed. Chariot got exactly what he needed, which was do not let the boss get the arrow, do whatever you can. So it's just like, you cannot touch this stand. You cannot get close to him at all. Unless you break your soul orb. Why do I need to say that? Why is that something that happens in JoJo?